So welcome, Rolf, to my channel, and thank you for joining today. And yes, so maybe you can just start with your introduction so that our audience know who exactly you are and what is your experience and where all you have worked, which all countries. I know that you worked in multiple countries, more than one at least. So probably you can get started with your introduction, and then we will go further with more questions. Over to
All
you.
right. Thanks, Anu, for the invite. I try to be short. So I started out as a PhD. I leave out all my studies. So I did study computer science in some point in my life. Then I did a PhD in networks. I did work in a bunch of countries. So work experience I really have in the US, in the UK, and in Germany, and in France a little bit. And after that, I moved to a network equipment company. It's called NEC. It's a Japanese electronics company, basically. I worked there in the network research part of the company. Then I moved on to become a professor in Augsburg, where we both live. And then I'm still there. So I'm still a professor for computer networks, basically. And I also founded a startup that also deals in the broadest sense with networks.
Awesome.
That's me. Yeah.
Yeah. So my next question would be like, you have traveled to so many places and you have lived in so many countries. So what exactly makes you, stay in Germany and work here and continue working here? So why not US or why not any other country?
That's a very good question. So when I was young, all I wanted to do is I wanted to work in the US. Or not even work in the US, I wanted to be in the US. And the reason probably was because of all the television and all the music, and it was very US centric, or still is here in Germany. So we get a lot of US content. It's dubbed, so it has a German a language bit, but it's a lot of US content. And everything I wanted to do after graduating was to go to the US. And actually during my studies, I went to do an internship in the US. I did my master's thesis with a company in the US. And part of my PhD studies I did in the US as well. And after some time after my master's, I applied at jobs in the US too, but there was a downturn in the economy. And basically, I didn't get a visa at that point. Nobody did, or hardly anybody did at that time. The bubble burst. It was right after the internet bubble burst, and
Yeah.
there were so many people unemployed at that point in time. No developer would get into no foreign developer would get into the country. So I started to look for jobs in Germany, and I found some. And then at a later point in time, I actually got a job offer from the US. And at that point, I didn't want to go. And the reason is that Germany actually is quite nice when you have the employees perspective. So in the US, as you might know, it's a free market. So basically, if things go down the drain, your career might go down the drain with it. Or if hiring is tough, you just won't find a job. If economy turns down, you can be fired easily. So there's a lot of things that is bad for the employer, but it's bad for the employee. But since it's so dynamic, if the upturn is there again, then you quickly find a job as well. So there's positive things about that too. In Germany, it's different. So we have a social market. That's what they call it. It's social in the sense that if something bad happens to the economy, the government and insurances try to buffer this so you don't get fired that quickly. We see now in Corona times, a lot of people keep their jobs because the government comes in and basically pays part of the salary so that while you're not working. So you can go to work and you get still money to survive, or you have health insurance. So nobody in Germany needs to worry about health insurance. In the US, if you don't have enough money, so if you have minimum wage and work at Burger King, nothing against Burger King, but they don't pay very well. So you can't afford health insurance. That is something that would never happen in Germany because health insurance is mandatory. And if the state makes something mandatory and you can pay for it, the state has to pay for it because it's mandatory. So this is good. I also got kids. So when you have kids in the US or in other countries like Japan, I'm sure in India it's the same. Once you have kids, you worry about their future. And we still worry about the future of our kids, but we
Yes.
don't worry about the education of our kids because school is for free.
Yes.
And so this is the social aspect of it. So a lot of things are covered, and the employers, for example, they have to cover parts of it. So I remember I had a colleague from Japan, and he came here and he had a German contract. He had German salary, and you only, when you get a contract, you get your salary before tax. That's what's advertised, basically. So he didn't know that tax is actually quite hefty in Germany. So
Yeah.
he got his first paycheck. He was shocked. He was like, "Oh my God, there's so much money being deducted from my salary. Where's all this money going?" And I said, "This is going to society, to everybody. So you pay parts of, that's your share." And
Yeah.
part is for you. I mean, it's your health insurance and all these other things. And I think that's a big difference in Germany. So there's this social aspect of things, and the government will not let you down so easily. And they force employers to put a lot of things in place so you are secure. So you have this feeling of security that even if things go down the drain, at least you can go to the dentist.
Yes.
And that's especially if you have kids, then this is a very good thing. This is excellent. So I think
Yeah.
this is very unique about Germany.
Okay. So this
And
is the
maybe
main
you agree.
reason you wanted to stay and continue in Germany.
Yes, and
All the social aspects.
also, yeah. So this was very important to me. And the other aspect that was important to me, why I didn't go to the US in the end, was culture. So Germany has also a very rich culture. So we have theaters and opera and all these kind of things, which
Hmm.
you don't have in every city, even in big cities in the US. It's not that large cities above a certain amount of people will have a theater. And so I think Europe in general is a bit more rich when it comes to the cultural aspect as well. And that also was a big plus. So I don't think I will ever go back to the US or any other place to work. I'm going to stay here in Germany.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, so then let's move towards your current role probably. So you are working as a co-founder in one of the company in one of the real great startup here in Germany. And so what qualities you look for in a candidate when they apply for a job in your startup? So you might be also involved in the hiring process, right? So what qualities you are looking for when you are hiring a candidate?
So I think startups are good for people that are more junior than they are senior, because they're cheaper, of course. And startups don't have deep pockets compared to those of the big companies like BMW or Audi or Porsche or Deutsche Bank or whatnot. And what they are looking for is probably less. They don't have to have so much experience, but probably what they need is a breadth of skills. So in a large company, you probably have they look for something very particular. So if you take BMW and you have 60 people working on the braking system alone, then your job will be very narrow. So you'll have a very particular job. It's probably very important too, but the set of skills you have to have is very, very narrow and very limited.
Yeah.
And startups, since there are so many things you have to do at the same time, they probably look for people that aren't expert in a single thing, but have seen a lot of things and probably played with a lot of things and can potentially do a lot of things. Because your role might be this today and might be something completely different tomorrow because it's so dynamic. Things have changed. Your product might have changed. Your
Yeah.
scope might have changed. Your customers might have changed. So you need people that are young. Young is good because they are still flexible. But if you have been in your job for 15 years and you have done this very narrow thing, you want to continue to do this narrow thing. And this is something that
Yeah.
a startup can't handle so well. So if you're flexible in mind and have done a lot of different things and are cheap, then you're perfect for a startup.
Okay, that's a really nice answer.
But don't worry, if the startup does well, pay will go up as well, of course.
Yeah, of course. Okay, so my next question is, what are the opportunities for a student from India who is in Germany? Is there a difference when you hire someone and you look at his educational qualification? Do you look for someone who is completely got his graduation or master's from German universities, or do you look for even international candidates while hiring?
So I don't think it's so important where the degree comes from. It really, they need to demonstrate a certain skill set. That's important. And if you don't speak German, then it will be difficult to fulfill certain roles. So in particular, customer facing roles, because they usually expect you to speak some level of German. And so that will be more difficult. But there's plenty of jobs where that is not so important. In particular, if you talk about development or software related jobs, then there's plenty of opportunities. So the company I told you about NEC before, that they were based in Heidelberg in Germany, and the official language at the lab was English.
Ah.
So you were required to speak English, and that's it. And we had a
Okay.
bunch of people from all over the world. They all spoke English, but Germans were, I guess, a minority. And you
That's
find those
strange.
places. And also, when it's software development and you speak English, then I think that there are plenty of jobs that you can apply for. Not all of them, because some of them will require you to speak German. But you can come to Germany, but you should do yourself a favor and at least take German classes, because it's not just work. There's this other aspect of life,
Yeah.
which is a bit social, and there you probably want to pick up German. At least a little bit. But if you have been studying in Germany, I guess you, as a student, already started learning at least some German.
Yeah. Makes sense. So I think it's more important to, communicate with the people, the local people here. You should know German. I've seen that a lot. So people
Yeah,
does not prefer talking in English rather in their own mother tongue. Yeah.
right.
Okay, so the next question would be again related to students. So, can a student from India come to Germany and pursue a bachelor's degree here in Germany, that too in English language? I've seen people coming here for masters, but not for bachelor's. So, I'm not 100% sure why exactly, but is it that a bachelor's course is not available in English here?
So we, good that you asked me. I'm as you know, I'm a professor too.
Yeah,
So
that's why this question
um,
is for you.
it's a very good question, very
Yeah.
targeted. So the problem is that since most universities in Germany are state funded, so public universities. There's
Mhm.
very few private universities in Germany, and as a state institution, clearly the courses you should offer should be for the people living in your country, because they pay the tax, and that is they speak German. So the undergrad courses, most of them are in German, and I think there's even a requirement for them to be in German primarily. You can, of course, also offer the same course in English, but then as university, you have twice, you have the same offering, you have twice the same course. It's just the difference is the language, and then very few universities invest in having an English only course. I've seen universities in the middle part of Germany, they actually specialize on English bachelors, and they only offer certain degree programs in English. So it's clearly possible, but it's rare. Masters is different because we want to have very international students uh, as incoming, but also as outgoing. So we have certain degree programs where we, for example, force our students to at least leave the country for half a year. It's part of the
Mhm.
program. So you have to, we don't care where you go, but you have to leave the country for 6 months unless you don't want to graduate. Then you can stay.
Okay.
But the good thing is for the incomings, they already do this, so they don't have to go away. So they don't come to Germany and then have to leave again. I mean, they are by definition already in a foreign country, so they
Yeah.
can do the whole program in Germany too. So
Okay.
on
So
the
they
master's
don't
level, a
have
lot of
to
universities,
leave in that case, right?
right? So they can do the whole program then in Germany. But
Yeah.
a lot of universities now offer, my university as well, we offer master's degrees that are solely in English,
Mhm.
but there's hardly any course offering in English for the
Okay.
undergrad.
Okay. Yeah. Then, Rolf, actually, we have started a WhatsApp group for people who are actually looking for jobs or, moving to Germany. And from within that group, I got a question specifically for you. So
Mhm.
the question was how to get a job in Germany as a junior developer. So you as a co-founder maybe will be able to answer this question.
So maybe I go one step back. So I also at the university, when I have like a PhD position or something, I also get a lot of international applications.
Mm-hmm.
And this is more general. This is nothing to do with junior. This is more general. So a lot of the applications that I see, also from India, I got a lot of applications from India too. A lot of the applications I see, they're not very targeted. So I'll give you an example. They all start with dear sir or madam. And then they continue along the lines, I would like to apply for a job at your esteemed organization. And then they list a number of things they are interested in, and then they end the cover letter. And this is stuff that goes directly into the bin, but it's very common. So,
okay,
because when I have a job posting, it has my name on it. So if you say, dear sir or madam, you haven't done your research. If it doesn't have the company name in it or my university name in it, depending on where you apply, you haven't done your research. You could send this to anybody, and then I'm not interested, because to me it appears you're not interested in me. Why should I be interested in you?
Exactly.
And they have very low scoring, so they go at the bottom of the pile instantly. Whenever you want to have a job, look for the job you really want to have. Instead of sending 100 applications, send 10, but make them count. So research the person that you address. Find out something about the company and mention it in your cover letter. Make it as precise to this particular position as humanly possible. It will boost your application up in the stack immediately. It doesn't, I'm not guaranteeing any jobs here, but it sticks out. There's so many applications that come in that are so generic. If you have a really targeted cover letter, it sticks out and it goes up in the pile. I give my students a particular advice, because when they're done with their studies, they by definition are juniors because they have hardly any experience.
Yes.
So the advice I'm giving them is the following. There's a lot of students out there, and a lot of them have good grades, and grades are good. So if you have good grades, that's a good basis. But the only thing a grade tells you as an employer is you are able to study for an exam and passed it under a certain amount of time pressure. That's what it says. So if you had 3 exams in Java software development, it doesn't tell me whether you're a good Java programmer. It tells me you passed 3 exams under time pressure, which is good, and you did well in that. That's also good. So you can't be completely out of line. So that's good.
Yeah.
But it doesn't tell me whether you actually have experience and actually like what you're doing. So what I'm telling my students is, at the first semester, do the following. The first thing you learn is Git, and you get a GitHub account. And from now on, all your coding ends up there. And I don't care what it is, but it has to end up there. Because then, as an employer, you actually see the history, you see the green dots, you see, oh, he's doing something every week.
Yes.
Then you can see, oh, he's done something in a project that's not his. He did a pull request. He commented somewhere. He opened an issue there. So he's kind of active. And there's a lot of, particularly now, it's today's the 4th of December, I think. So it's time. And you probably know the advent of code. Do you know it?
No.
So advent is all December days before Christmas, before the 24th of December.
Yeah, I know about the calendar, the advent calendar, right?
Yes, with the chocolate. But
exactly.
You have it with code too. So advent of code is a calendar, and it opens up a small task for you every day. So every day, actually it's 2, because if you finish the first one, it unlocks the second one. So what I would do is, as a student, I would solve all of them and put them on GitHub. So there's 24 green dots, consecutive green dots. It's small things. You can, I don't know, if you want to learn a new programming language, make that your first 24 or 48 tasks and work on those. But as an employer, if you put this into your resume and I click on this, I have your history and I see what kind of languages you program in, and I can see a certain level of activity, and that tells me potentially much more than your grade in Java 1 or software engineering 1 or computer networks or something. So, and again, this stands out. So a lot of students don't have that. They only have grades. And that's, if you want to stand out, you need something more. And if you're a junior, you can work on your portfolio yourself. And you can have a public record. That's a nice thing about computer science these days. With GitHub or GitLab, you can do GitLab, I don't care. But make it Git. And you can have a public record of the things you've done, and I can have a look at it if you make it public, make it visible to me. And that gives me a good feeling about you as a developer, that you actually do stuff outside of your coursework, which is a very good sign.
Yeah, exactly. Um, so I think that's all from my side. And if you have something to say about like some words of wisdom for people coming from India who are still searching for a job here in Germany, they really want to work here because of all the social benefits that you have mentioned, and also the culture here and the security and all that stuff. So some words of wisdom from you and some advices, some do's and don'ts, whatever. So maybe one or two liner for them. Yeah. I think you have already covered most of it, but maybe just to end this video and yeah.
Right. So I think one of the things that's probably difficult, but it's hard for me to judge. You're the better judge for this. It's culture. So Germany probably has a very unique culture. It's very different from India, and it's probably very different from a lot of places. The only culture I met, which is kind of comparable, I think, is the Japanese culture. So,
Okay.
we are very different, and but once you come here and learn to live with us, I think it's fine. You're gonna be happy and enjoy your time here.
So it's all about coming to Germany, and then it will be all fine.
Yeah, I think it's going to be good. There's going to be a culture shock,
Yeah.
but nothing that beer can fix.
Yes. Okay. Then thank you, Rolf. Thank you for your time and all the useful and important advices that you have given. I think it will be really useful for all the audience of my channel at least. And yes, so thank you once again and have a great weekend.
Yeah, same to you. And I hope a bunch of your followers will actually make it and come to Germany.
Yes, I also hope so. Okay, then see you
All right, take
later.
care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.